Y'all really dumb. For real.
Hey there, besties. Look what just happened to come up on the blogs today after I just recently talked about Cliff Huxtable, specifically Bill Cosby, and his new allegations from a woman who said 54 years ago he essayed her allegedly, and now 54 years later she's bringing it up. That's a whole different stream. But the point is that I said, as far as the Cosby Show is concerned, A Different World and any other spinoffs from that show was positive. It was a wonderful show, meaning the Cosby Show, a doctor, a lawyer, their kids, they were making it. They weren't poor. They weren't struggling. They went through their problems. We all still could relate, but we could also see two professionals married, two professionals raising kids together, two professionals discussing what, where, when, how, and why, their parents in the picture, all those positive attributes. Okay? I don't care what anyone is saying about Bill Cosby. I ain't believing it. I ain't gonna believe it. You're not gonna destroy what this man did positively in his life over his career and what he did for so many as far as education is concerned. And considering what he did as far as education is concerned, so many people should be happy and positive that he did put that out there for Black people in particular, okay? Shout out to Temple. So I happened to get on here to Neighborhood Talk. Shout out to the Neighborhood Talk. And here we have Keke Palmer making fun and talking negatively about Claire Huxtable, also known as Felicia Rashad. Let's listen to this foolishness.
She was uppity, y'all, today. Bottom line. Oh, really? Oh, I just, girl, stop. Y'all know that Claire was way.
She was.
Come on.
But it was still cool, though.
Was it?
Because her man was a doctor.
She was just so, like, Claire. Oh, Cliff. Girl, say what you saying. She got on my nerves sometimes. Because I'm like, Claire, let's be real, sister girl.
Girl, say what you saying is a new phrase and I'm here for it.
Claire Huxtable. She was uppity, y'all, today. Bottom line.
So someone who is ratchet would call something like what Claire Huxtable showed as uppity, when what it was class, which is missing with so many people today. It was grace, which is missing from so many people today. Keke Palmer is loud and ratchet and Ebonic speaking, and I can do the same thing, but sometimes there is a time and a place. The problem with so many today, they don't know the difference between a time and a place and think that the ratchetness is the place at every time, at all times, day and night, and half of the time on Sunday. The problem with someone and people like Keke Palmer who think that Claire Huxtable is the problem shows and proves that people like Keke Palmer are the problem. You know, the single mother, the one who ain't married, the one who had a child out of wedlock, unlike Claire Huxtable. Yes, she's a character, but the point is that she was married. And Keke is the epitome of the woman today, Black woman in particular, who's going to sit up here and talk negatively about what's right. Act like that's something wrong with being married, being a lawyer, being a parent, showing some class and not being ratchet, not out here twerking all over creation, not out here opening an OnlyFans, not out here having children out of wedlock. No, not doing any of that. So the best that she can say is she was uppity because she wasn't out here using ebonics and twerking all over the place and talking negatively about people and talking negative and being negative. None of that. So you don't do any of that foolishness. People gonna sit up here like Keke Palmer and talk about how you're uppity. Or I'm sure she would say also talking white and acting white, which is white supremacy, racism, discrimination, all that foolishness. What we're not going to allow, what I'm not going to allow is people like her to think that you're going to sit up here and talk about our role models just because you don't have the sense that God gave you. Sorry that your role model of Glorilla and Meg Thee Stallion and any other ratchet person that all they do is bend over to show their ass. Claire Huxtable didn't need to do that, and neither did any of her children. And when they tried to try to act like that, she put them in their daggone place. Now, I know that it was a TV show, but the point is this is what Cliff Huxtable, Bill Cosby put out here as a positive influence for black people. He tried to help black people. He tried to tell the men, pull your pants up, act like you got some sense, get your hair cut, get a job, support your family, and go to college and do what you need to do in order to be successful. And people act like he told people to go out here and jump in front of a daggone train. It's like the culture is determined to tear itself down to the nth degree, to be trash at all times. If it ain't trashy, they don't accept it. I don't accept that. I don't accept that. That's not what I came from growing up in the 70s to the 80s and into the 90s as an adult. No, that's not what we saw. That's not what it was. And I'm not going to accept it today. And anyone else who was in that time knows it too and needs to not accept it as well. We need to be telling people like Keke Palmer, say that shit for your kid. So when your kid gets older, you make sure she's listening to Cardi, you make sure she's listening to Meg, you make sure she's listening to Glorilla, and you make sure she know the lyrics to all them songs. You make sure that she goes over here and sees Kim Kardashian's life. I'm gonna just leave it at that, and what it is that she did in order to become famous. Show them all that stuff, because at the end of the day, that's what it sounds like she has her support in, instead of someone who actually does and acts and says stuff like this.
I'm not serving Dr. Huxtable, okay?
Okay.
That's the kind of thing that goes on in a restaurant. Now, I'm going to bring him a cup of coffee just like he brought me a cup of coffee this morning. And that, young man, is what marriage is made of. It is give and take 50-50. And if you don't get it together and drop these macho attitudes, you are never going to have anybody bringing you anything, anywhere, any place, anytime, ever. You see,
Claire Huxtable sitting up here giving Elvin, this is like a classic scene from this show. This is an absolute classic scene from this show. And if this is where Keke was referencing her being uppity because she's telling Elvin, who's basically kind of a chauvinist, for lack of a better way to describe it, even though I think his wife put him in his place enough of the time because she wasn't going to put up with it. And tell him, this is how marriage works. I don't know what you're talking about. This is what you need to do. This is how it goes. From a person who was married in the show, from a person who was married to a professional. How many times do I say, oh, well, clearly this person ain't messing with nobody who the VP at Wells Fargo. Hell, not even a V at Wells Fargo or Bank of America. And I'm just using those as examples. Can't even find a man at that level. Won't look for one. Won't do what needs to be done in order to get one to make your life easier. Ain't trying to get married to make your life easier. Then get on the daggone TV talking about it's not right, it's not fair. I live in this hotel and we need some help. We need some help. You need to get some help from the person that you had the damn kid with. How come that's never an option? Claire ain't have to worry about stuff like that. I ain't have to worry about stuff like that. So if that got to be pick me mammy, then you can say all the bad names that you want to. But at the end of the day, neither one of us had to come out here and beg nobody to help us with nothing because we had a partner, a whole husband, a whole marriage, a whole support system. But you say stuff like that and the culture want to act like there's something wrong with it. And yet all this single motherhood, Keke Palmer included, is one of the highest that the black community has ever seen. And people don't want to act like that's not an issue. They would rather sit around here and chase after ambulance chase, shout out to Ben Crump, after white cops that do stuff to black people, instead of looking at all of the things that black people do to black people to try to teach them, which is what Cliff Huxtable, Bill Cosby did. With the lessons that he taught, not only in this show, y'all, but in Fat Damn Albert. Lest we not forget that. Another show, a classic show from the 70s, 80s. But no, y'all rather watch Love and Marriage Huntsville and Love and Hip Hop and Basketball Wives and blah, 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 Zeus Network, and say that that's the culture. You people at that age can have that shit and never wonder why you got the problems that you do when you following the stupid, easy, ratchet, low-hanging fruit BS as the direction for your life. Do you, boo? But at the end of the day, it's half damn crazy. It don't make sense. And that's why there's so many that are in the situations that they are. God forbid somebody take a daggone step back, look at their life, see what they doing wrong, where they can make some changes, implement something positive, get around people who have what it is that they want at the end of the daggone day, do something differently to better your own damn situation, and at the end of the day, do what's best for your kids. But people like Keke would rather down an icon like Claire damn Huxtable and say that she is uppity just because she don't act like her. I rebuke that. That's disgusting. I'm not having it, and you will not be taking down people like this, because these are the shows that I will make sure that my grandchildren see so that they can see something positive, as opposed to all the freaking ratchetness that seems to not be going anywhere, that Black culture seems to want to keep, instead of doing something that makes sense. And then not even recognize that we at the bottom of lists that we shouldn't be at the bottom of, and at the top of lists that we shouldn't be at the top of, and blaming white supremacy, racism, and discrimination when it ain't got nothing to do except for ratchet, lazy people. That's it. That's all. If you made it this far, I do appreciate you. Please consider subscribing. I will see you all in the next one.
Drama, my favorite.
If you're doing it, stop it. Get some help.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on, guys.